This case has become national news. It's now the face of the immigration debate in America. Why hasn't President Biden, you think, called Laken Riley's parents?
Oh, I think he should. I think he will. I think that.
Really?
Look,
you think he will?
Yeah, I think he will. He is the consoler in chief, and I think he will call them. And I think this is something that he should do, I think, as a president. Now, look, to blame this death solely on the immigration crisis, we know that immigrants commit crimes at a lower rate than the general public does. But this man was violent.
Yeah, no, Chris, I've heard that.
And, you know,
I've heard that argument, okay? But the fact of the matter remains that you've got a huge drop in the crime rate in Venezuela with all these guys leaving, and you've got a number of illegal immigrants, Renez Montes, Stefan Claude Radigan, Santo Cruz Ramos, Ruelman Lopez Nolasco, all arrested of extraordinarily serious crimes, all illegal immigrants who have come recently. The fact of the matter remains, if you had better controls at the border, okay, these crimes wouldn't have happened. Without Joe Biden's policies, Laken Riley would be alive.
Well, this guy claimed asylum. The bill that was rejected by Trump and the Republicans would have sped up that process. And actually, with the timeline you showed at the beginning of the show, he would have been gone by now under the new system. So if Republicans are really concerned about this, there was a bill that they can vote on. And they should be voting on it instead of saving the issues for the election.
All right, we can go around and around about voting and whether the bill would or would not have kicked this guy out. I don't think it would. I don't think it would have. But let's talk about.
I'm going by the timeline you presented.
Let's talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump's visit tomorrow to the border, 300 miles apart. This is what is fascinating to me. Joe Biden, commander-in-chief, he says he's going to the border to check things out. He's going to Brownsville, Texas, where, as I understand it, they had encounters, meaning Border Patrol picked up people sort of in the dozens. It is one of the least trafficked places, the least busy Border Patrol sector on the whole border. Donald Trump is going to El Paso, Eagle Pass, where you had the most number of crossings. Why is Joe Biden going to the place that doesn't have the biggest problem?
Well, you go to a city where they want you to come, right? President Biden's going to go to a more Democratic city. Former President Trump is going to go to the most Republican part of the state where there is a border crossing problem.
Yeah, but hold on. No, Han. This isn't supposed to be about politics. This is supposed to be about the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, saying there is a crisis on the border. Isn't he supposed to go to the place where the crisis exists the worst?
Well, he's going to the border. They've been calling for him to go to the border. He's going to the border. I personally don't think that the politics of border policy is actually going to determine the election. We saw in New York last month that it was the only thing Republicans ran on, and they lost horribly. And it will happen again. If the Republicans want to make this election about the border, they will lose yet another election running on the border. People want to know about things that are right in front of them. And for most of America, it is not right in front of them. And Joe Biden will not be competitive in Texas. So there's virtually nothing about the border issue that is going to be determined in this city. We make a lot of noise about it.
Look, I was with you for a little while that nothing's going to change because presidents go places. It's about how symbolism and what you show in the same way that we know if Laken Riley was a little black girl who'd been killed by two white guys, Kamala Harris would be at the funeral. I don't think Kamala Harris is showing up at Laken Riley's funeral. I was with you, though, that nothing's going to change because of the trip to the border. I completely disagree with you that this isn't something that is going to affect voters in Georgia. This is on their doorstep because somebody who came across an open border killed a young woman at the University of Georgia. Okay, this is going to be in Michigan, in Pennsylvania. You've got people getting arrested who are illegal aliens committing crimes. How is this not going to be on people's minds?
I've been on a lot of campaigns, Leland, and I've seen this issue brought up by the other side almost every time. And it is never what determines the election, especially things that happen in February, by the way. It will not determine the election, not even in Georgia. It'll be other things like the economy, like other things that matter to Americans as they think about their own personal lives and their daily lives. Yeah, there are some people who will vote on this issue. They are in the base of the Republican Party already, and they are not making up their mind to vote for a Democrat. Anybody whose number one issue is the border will not vote for Joe Biden. The Republicans have successfully demagogued on this issue, even as they...
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.